Hi, today we're going to talk about pain flare-ups and what to do if you have a relapse or a pain flare. A lot of times when we have a flare-up, we're unprepared and they take us by surprise, and that makes things even worse because we sometimes get anxious or worried because we are not sure what to do to get them to calm down. So today we're going to talk about how to build a flare care kit of sorts, or how to make plans for a flare up so that you're ready when it happens. And we're also going to talk about what to do when self-soothing and avoidance behaviors don't work, and another tool that you could possibly use in that case to see if you could get your pain flare to calm down. So if you don't have a piece of paper and a pen handy, this is a good time to pause the video and go and get one. What we're going to do is we're going to divide our paper into 8 sections. And the easiest way to do that is to fold it in half this way, okay? And then to fold it in half again this way, so it looks like this, okay? And then we're going to fold it in half that way. And I'm going to give it some nice creases, because who doesn't like creases, right? So we have 8 sections on this piece of paper here. And these are the 8 sections where we're going to write some ideas. We're going to do some brainstorming. And then we're going to take the ideas from these different squares and put them together into some concrete plans for what to do if you have a pain flare-up. All right, first things first. I want you to know that if you get the squares wrong, it doesn't matter. This isn't a graded assignment. It doesn't matter if you get things in the wrong space. And this is something that you can add on to, change, do whatever you want to with. This is your project, your work. There's no right or wrong way to do it, okay? So here we go. Let's just say this square up here, all right, or whichever square you want, we're going to write activities that soothe us. So what are some activities that you find soothing or relaxing? Okay, what makes you feel calm, centered, safe? Some things that I have on my list include gentle walks, taking a hot bath, doing an easy puzzle, meditating, bird watching. All of those things are things that I find to be relaxing, and they're activities that I can do when I'm having a pain flare or I'm having high emotions, okay? So activities. So take a minute and fill in some activities that you know make you feel safe, secure, grounded. All right. So there you go. Activities. Good. So we're going to move over here now. And we are going to write some places where we feel safe and secure. So you're not going to probably write the dentist's office. You're going to write places where you feel safe. For most of us, there's a place in our home, like our bedroom, that feels safe. And you might even put your bed. Your bed feels safe to you. Some other places that you might find safe feeling or grounding feeling are places that in nature. Maybe a certain park. You might find a museum. I personally enjoy going to greenhouses, especially in the winter, or floral conservatories. There's one not too far from where I live, so I can go and walk and just relax in the beautiful scents and in the warmth of a nice conservatory. Another place might be a library for some people. You might like to walk around and just be immersed in the books, and it feels like a safe and secure place for you. okay? Take a minute and brainstorm some things that you might want to put in here. Okay, the next one over here. It's people and pets. So people in your life who make you feel safe, we're going to list them here, okay? We're going to list people that when you're with them, all is right with the world, okay? Some of us might have a lot of people, and some of us might have 1 or 2 people, and some of us might be like, no, I don't have anybody. And that's fine, okay? No judgment. Also, you can list your pets or your family's pets or your friend's pet, a pet you can borrow. That can go over here too, okay? All right. On this other side, we're going to do sounds, things that sound safe to you. Some people find music to be really awesome. Other people find the sound of rain or white noise or brown noise to be very soothing to them. Other things that people might enjoy might be the sound of running water or bird song or wind passing through trees. Everybody's a little bit different, and we have different preferences and different pasts, different memories. So what is soothing to one person may not be soothing to the next. Okay? So put some sounds down, things that you like to hear that make you feel safe. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. The next one we're going to do is smell. We don't use our sense of smell as often as we could in this work, and I think that adding scents actually makes sense, right? All right, so you may find that the smell of cinnamon or the smell of lavender, maybe you like a certain scent of tea or coffee, baked goods. Sometimes for some people are a soothing smell, especially if you have a smell from your childhood that was particularly soothing for you, okay? Let's see, what are some other smells? Incense. Some people really like the smell of incense. Yeah, so whatever smells good to you, write it down here. Could maybe be flowers, grass, stuff like that, okay? Next, sensations. I want to talk about things that feel good tactily on your skin, okay? Or, so what are some things that might feel good to you? On my list, I have the feeling of grass under my feet. I like that sensation. I like the feeling of sun on my face. Other possibilities could be gentle massage or gentle foot rub, okay? Getting your hair brushed. Sometimes people find that just the sensation of warmth, like a heating pad, or cold, or a cold pack, also to give you really nice, soothing results. So, sensations. Okay. You can also put things like rubbing your arms, hand on heart, that kind of stuff. Okay? All right. Objects. What kind of objects should you have in your Self-Soothe kit? All right, so there's nothing more frustrating than needing an object to soothe with and you can't find it. You don't know where you put it. So I suggest that you're going to keep all of these things together so that you have them when you need them and when you want them. So some things that I have on my list is I have a weighted blanket that I really like. I also have like a little bed buddy stuffed animal that goes in the microwave and he gets warm and he's just nice to curl up around. I have a real live pet in my home, but he does not like to be snuggled, cuddled, petted. He just is one of those pet me with your eyes kind of creatures. So he's not good for this. So I need to have other things. So I have a bed buddy instead. Got on my list, I have a massage tool. I have, again, heating pad, cold pack. Okay. Sometimes we have some of those Theracanes or a back scratcher. Some people really like to lay on those pads that have the little bumps on them. So something like that. So put those kinds of things on there. So those are part of the possible plan that we're going to put together. Last, in the last square, we're going to put sights. So I put sunrise, sunset. I love watching sunrises and sunsets. Another thing you might like is pictures of your family or your pets. There might be a favorite place you have in nature where you just love it. It's just beautiful to your eyes, and you know you just enjoy being there. You might find that you have perhaps a garden and there's flowers there that you might like to go and just look at the flowers. Some people also find it very soothing to watch running water or to watch flame. So those are some ideas, okay? But you're going to put your ideas too, and things that are unique to you. You're going to put those here as well, all right? So what do we do with these things that we've put? We've made this brainstormed list. What we're going to do is we're going to put things together. We're going to draw things from different parts of the list and put it together and make a plan. And we're going to have more than one plan because depending on the weather, depending on the time of day, you might need a different plan. So I'll share a few of mine with you. One of my flare care plans is to take a gentle walk in nature. And because I really, really like the sound of running water, I like to be around water. I find it really soothing. Often my nature walks will take me along the Mississippi River or along a creek that's near my home. So those are some things. That is one flare care plan that I have that is really effective for me, and I do it year-round. It doesn't have to be summer, although it's more pleasant when it's spring or summer. It's certainly something that I've used, especially when I was recovering. When I first started this work, I had a lot of extinction burst type events, and I had a lot of times when my sensations would change in my body in frightening ways. And my husband would, it was winter, and he would put my coat on me and take me out and walk me through a park near my home. And it's just very gentle, very easy walking, nothing strenuous, just a way to soothe my brain and calm me down. Another plan that I have that I use frequently is a hot bath. I really enjoy a nice warm bath, and when I take a bath, I usually add something first just to kind of relax my muscles. So I usually put some Epsom salts in there. I often add music. I usually use something like spa music. And I also will bring in a scent. Right now I have some bulbs that I've forced, and they're growing in pots around my bathtub, and it smells like spring. And it's very, very beautiful and very relaxing. So that's an idea. You can take all kinds of ideas and put them together. It doesn't have to be anything that is complicated. As a matter of fact, the simpler the better sometimes. But I want you to write down your plans and put them in a place where you can find them. So you can keep the sheet that you've made if you want to and just write your plans on the back. Some other options that I like to do One thing I enjoy is gentle walks in a greenhouse and looking at the flowers and the plants and smelling them and just feeling the warmth and the humidity, especially in the winter. I like to go and do that. Another care plan for me is going to the library. I enjoy libraries. As a child, libraries were where I escaped to. I often escaped into books and libraries to kind of deal with stressful situations in my life. And so I actually enjoy walking through libraries, and sometimes I'll put my earbuds in and listen to some gentle music while I'm just browsing and looking at the books. Okay. Some people get the same effect from going to a bookstore, and I love doing that as well. But there's something very comforting to me about being in a library, in that nice, quiet space that feels really safe for me. Okay? So a lot of times I think people believe that when they're having a flare-up, they can't leave the house, or they can't leave their bed, or they need to lay down and put cold packs all over their bodies and stuff. And that isn't necessarily true. You really don't have to do that. You can go other places. And the point here is to let you know that there's lots of ways to soothe your body, and you're going to draw on all of your senses to soothe, relax, and calm. So what's the second part of this? The second part of this is the messaging that goes with the behavior. So we talk a lot about your brain can get talked to in a couple of ways. The first one is top down, with messages of safety that are very concrete, very, to the point. I'm safe, there's nothing wrong with my body. So we're talking and speaking to the rational part of our brain, and we're giving it messages of safety. The other way we communicate with our brain is bottom up, and that is by doing things that calm our nervous system and tell our brain, oh, she's safe or he's safe, because they're doing things that are showing the brain that it's okay and you're fine. So that's what the first part of this plan was about, was doing things to show your brain that you're safe, okay? So, messages. What kinds of messages do you give yourself? Well, I think the easiest way to think about this is to think about how you would talk to a child. Because your brain, in its own way, is like a child. And when it's having a pain flare, it's kind of having a tantrum. So if you think about your brain, and especially the subconscious part of your brain, as being a little child that needs to be talked to in a kind, concerned, caring, calm way, it might help you to figure out the kind of tone you need to use when you're giving yourself messages of safety. If you came upon a child lost in a department store, you wouldn't stand there and yell at them and raise your voice and tell them they were stupid for getting lost, and what kind of dumb behavior is that, and why weren't you watching your mom? Why weren't you doing the things you were supposed to do? Why did you wander off? You don't do that. You usually crouch down on their level and you get close to them and you say soothing things like, I'm here with you. I'm not going to leave you until we get things sorted out. I'm not going to just give you 2 minutes of my time. I'm going to stay here with you and keep you safe. And I'm going to prioritize keeping you safe until we get you reunited with your parent. So that's the kind of language and tone and mindset you need to bring to your self-soothing and calming. And if you're having trouble with this, you might need to do a little breathing first and then give yourself messages of safety, okay? So what are some that I have? Well, in my bathroom mirror every morning, because I am overall a fearful person, I have been ever since I was a child, I have a Post-it note on my bathroom mirror that says, I am safe. And I see it every morning. And it reminds me that, yep, it's okay, brain. You're safe living in Callie's body. It's okay. You're safe. You're fine. You can go out and do the things that you need to do today, and you're going to be just fine. This may be too simplistic for some people. Some people need something a little more elaborate or a little less fundamental, maybe. So here are some that I've jotted down. This is temporary. I'm going to be okay. It's just a sensation. It can't hurt me. It's not damaging my tissues. I'm going to be fine. It's just a sensation. There's nothing wrong with my body. I know this. I'm going to be fine. My brain thinks I'm in danger, but it's a false alarm. I'm going to be okay. There's nothing wrong with me. Here's another one. Thank you for the message, brain. I hear you loud and clear. But there's nothing wrong. I've got everything under control, and I'm going to be fine. So those are some ideas. Personalize it. Make it something that resonates with you. Okay? So when you're doing these activities that we put together, part of that is also giving yourself messages of safety while you're doing it. Okay? You don't need to do it the whole time. You don't need to do it for an hour or whatever. You just need to do it for part of the time. You're just reinforcing. You're reinforcing in a cognitive way the messages that you're sending to your brain by doing things that soothe your body and provide messaging for your brain that everything's okay and that you're safe. And it doesn't need to send you pain. It just doesn't need to. It's okay. All right? So some of you may be thinking to yourselves, well, that's all well and good, Callie, but I try soothing and I try avoidance behaviors. I try distracting myself and it never works for me. You may be one of those people who, when they have a pain flare, find themselves in fight or flight, meaning you've got a nice release of adrenaline in your body and it's stored up in there and you feel wired. And no matter what you do, you can't calm down. This is not at all unusual. It happens to everybody. And it's because that fight or flight response summons energy. Because originally that fight or flight was there to help us either run away to safety or to fight our way to safety. And right now, in the way we live, we often have these surges of adrenaline or cortisol, and it just sits there. It has no place to go. So sometimes we have to discharge that survival energy first before we can go into self-soothe and calm. Okay? So how do you discharge this energy that's coursing through your body? It's a really good question. It's all about finishing what's called the stress response cycle. So we have this rush of chemicals in our body. We are not doing anything to discharge that chemical reaction, and so we feel wired, jittery, anxious. Okay, having those chemicals in your body are going to make you feel anxious. So how do you discharge them? There are some tools that I can offer you, and you can also come up with some of your own. I think once you hear what I'm going to say, you'll be like, oh, okay, I could do this instead. This suits me better. So, how to get rid of that survival energy because you're not facing a predator. You're just wound up. Here we go. Sometimes it's important to know that you need to match the intensity of that energy to discharge it. So you need to ramp up your own response. So you can do power walking, You can do vigorous dancing. You can shake. You can stomp your feet. You can pound. You can punch. You can throw things, throw pillows and stuff like that, okay? So you can do any kind of physical activity as long as it has a little intensity behind it. And the goal is to mimic fight, flight. You could jump rope. I mean, there's a ton of physical activities you could do that have enough intensity to push those chemicals through your body and out of your system, okay? All right. Other ideas. If you are, this is especially good if you're really emotionally out of your comfort zone, okay? You're feeling super emotionally high and you feel like you don't have a lot of control over that emotion. One of the best things to do is put your head under cold water or splash cold water on your face or get in a cold shower. Cold is like hitting a reset button for your nervous system. And so by giving yourself cold exposure, cold therapy, it doesn't have to be a long time. It just kind of like goes and shocks you back into, okay, reset. I'm gonna start over here, okay? So cold therapy, it's not pleasant. I don't particularly enjoy it, but it's super, super effective, especially when you're emotionally distraught, okay? Next, physiological sigh. So we've known about the physiological sigh since like the 20s or 30s as far as a tool to pull you out of sympathetic mode into parasympathetic mode. So out of fight or flight into rest and digest. We've known about it. Your body actually uses it. Your brain triggers it sometimes, especially I remember having it happen a lot when I was a child. So the physiological sigh, perhaps you've had this experience where you've been crying really, really hard, and then all of a sudden you do this thing. That's a physiological sigh. And there are lots of videos on how to do it. So if you are interested in learning more about it and the science behind it, you can certainly Google and watch some videos. But the physiological sigh involves 2 inhales followed by a long exhale. And you usually don't need to do it more than once or twice to get a nice calming result. So it looks like this. Okay? So that's kind of like your own built-in pressure release valve. Like if your body were an Instapot or an Instant Pot, it has that valve that you can release the steam so that it doesn't have as much pressure inside. That's kind of what a physiological sigh does. It releases, it's like a release valve for the pressure you're holding inside. Okay? The next one is another way to physically process, and that's through your voice. You can cry, scream, shout, yell, sing loudly. So you use your vocalization as a way to process, okay? And then also when you cry, there's this physical release that comes as well, okay? So that is one way to deal with extra energy that you have stored in your body that may be preventing you from calming down. It's just too overwhelming. So in cases where you find yourself on trying to do self-soothe, avoidance behaviors, and they're not working, try to discharge some of that energy and then go back to self-soothing and see if that doesn't work for you better. We're all in different places in our ability to move our bodies. So if you're a person who can't really power walk or jump rope or dance, then shake. You can also tense up your body, just clench all the muscles and let it go. And that's another way that you can handle it as well. So this is the end of my presentation today. I hope there were some ideas and thoughts in there that might provoke you to think about how to plan for and prepare for pain flares. Thanks for joining me.